Even though Gene Hackman is well known, neighbors tell us that he and his wife lead very private lives in their longtime home in Santa Fe. When Gene Hackman, the well-known actor who starred in iconic movies like The French Connection and Unforgiven, and his wife Betsy Arakawa were discovered dead in their New Mexico home, suspicions and rumors quickly surfaced as investigators uncovered a perplexing scene. Signs of extensive decomposition and medication were scattered throughout a silent house. The intriguing finding and initial conjectures when two maintenance workers arrived at their Santa Fe estate for a routine task and discovered a jar in the front door, they entered to find a chilling silence. In one area of the mansion, the body of the legendary actor, 95, lay there, frail from age but still identifiable as the larger-than-life persona. Nearby were his cane and sunglasses, as if he had set them aside just before he passed away. Further inside the house, Betsy was discovered in the bathroom, and the area surrounding her told a chilling tale. The house itself appeared frozen in time, with no signs of forced entry or violent struggle, and the presence of 3 pets, 2 alive but severely malnourished, and 1 lying dead in a crate, added to the eerie evidence of neglect. There were also pills all over the place, an open prescription bottle on the vanity, and a small space heater on the floor that was overturned. Naturally, initial rumors dominated the news, with some speculating about natural causes that pointed to Gene's advanced age and others suspecting carbon monoxide poisoning, which is frequently a silent killer in older homes, but was quickly ruled out by authorities when inspectors found no gas leaks. Others suggested foul play because, after all, how could 2 people die at the same time, especially a famously strong actor and a wife still in her 60s, without leaving behind more conclusive evidence? Clues. Investigators and medical examiners hurried to gather forensic samples looking for anything unusual in the home's water supply, air quality, or medication because it seemed unthinkable that a movie icon with a loving partner and caring family could disappear from public view. Authorities investigated the possibility of an accidental or intentional overdose after finding scattered pills near Betsy's body. Given the telltale signs, an open bottle, scattered medication, and no obvious sign of forced ingestion, it gained traction. If Betsy suffered from chronic pain or anxiety, many hypothesized that prescription drug abuse could have resulted in death, but any assumption of overdose left open the question of Gene's cause of death. Could he have died naturally just hours or days before or after Betsy? Simultaneous health emergencies were the rise. Age-related issues were nothing new to Gene, who was 95 years old. He had previously experienced a severe bike accident in his 80s and required an angioplasty in his 60s. Although Betsy was younger, she could still experience an unforeseen medical emergency. According to some theories, Gene's wife might have panicked and unintentionally overdosed on medicine intended to treat him if he had a heart attack or stroke, or vice versa. Although no valuables were reported missing, many contended that something intangible, such as a personal grudge or hidden motive, could have caused tragedy. Despite this, no footprints, forced lock, or overt aggression were visible at the scene. During this investigative phase, local sheriff's deputies took care to gather records from an online health portal called MyQuest, along with the couple's cell phones and daily planners. They hoped to gain important insights into ongoing medical problems. This scenario may explain the physical distance between their bodies as each died in a separate emergency, and others were convinced that a quiet intruder or unknown party was involved, pointing to the open door in the bizarre state of the house. Forthcoming medical consultations or a farewell onlookers also remembered that although G had retired from acting, he was known to stay active with writing, painting, or just enjoying the quiet life in New Mexico. If Betsy had recorded odd symptoms or had Gene missed an important appointment, those records might have provided a clearer picture of day-to-day life. Betsy was just as would they genuinely consign themselves to an accident without seeking assistance, especially in a well-equipped home with phones and resources at their disposal, if Lively supported her husband through every new pastime or project. As word of G. Hackman's passing spread, the family's reactions ranged from shock to conjecture. Hollywood was ablaze with moving homages. His parts in Bonnie and Clyde were fondly remembered by his former co-stars. Celebrities like Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood expressed their appreciation for Hackman's variety and honesty in both his private and on-screen personas as Lex Luthor in The French Connection, but behind these mourning public displays concealed deeper, more nuanced feelings among Gene's close friends and family. Early on, Leslie, one of Gene's children from his first marriage, discussed the possibility of carbon monoxide poisoning as a silent threat in older homes, hoping for an explanation that would tie everything together. However, a subsequent inspection revealed no such leak, leaving her with unanswered questions about how 2 people she loved could perish so silently. Leslie also expressed initial disbelief that her father could have passed away so unexpectedly given his robust efforts to stay healthy with activities like yoga and Pilates even well into his 90s. Elizabeth expressed her sister's worries and highlighted Betsy's commitment to Gene's health, characterizing her as a continual caregiver who kept an eye on his vital signs, nutritional requirements, and general well-being. If there had been a sad incident, such as a freak accident or a hidden disease, it seemed unthinkable that Betsy would disregard her husband's care without a valid reason. When they discovered that the dog was dead in its kennel and that the open door wasn't how Dad and Betsy lived, Elizabeth thought the autopsy reports would provide clarity. One of them remarked that they adored their dogs. If anything, old Hollywood acquaintances remember Gene as fiercely protective of his health and retirement, cautious about avoiding undue stress after an earlier heart procedure. In contrast, Betsy was decades younger, presumably with many productive years ahead. The confusing details of the scene fueled heartbreak and suspicion. Had the couple decided to end their lives together, this idea didn't match the memory of Gene as buoyant and calm even in old age. Since the bodies of Gene Hackman and Betsy Irawa showed signs of advanced decomposition, including dryness and mummification, and no immediate cause of death was confirmed at the scene, one of the most urgent practical questions was what would happen to them. In accordance with standard procedure, law enforcement secured the property and called in the medical examiner team once the pair were located. Since the remains' dryness could make processes like taking fluid samples more difficult, they were taken to a neighboring forensic pathology center for autopsy. In cases of prolonged exposure to heat, certain indicators such as levels of decomposition or the presence of specific insects can help establish an estimated time of death. According to reports, officials conducted individual autopsies for Gan and Betsy, analyzing any differences in pathology to determine whether one died earlier than the other or if they both succumbed around the same time. The pathologist's goal was to collect as much tissue, hair, or bone marrow as possible for toxicology and other specialized tests. Forensic specialists may also examine the bones or tissues for microscopic damage that could point to a fall or violent altercation. Also kept medicine in storage following the body's transfer for formal inspection. Public attention sharply increased as remains discovered at the site were examined to determine whether the tablets matched prescription records, a crucial step in ruling out tampering. Although state laws in New Mexico frequently protect the privacy of deceased people's medical information until the official coroner reports are finished and made public behind the scenes, media outlets demanded inside information about the condition of the remains, particularly given the early suspicions of homicide or accidental overdose. One cannot forget that G. Hackman once fought against strict criticism early in his career at the Pasadena Playhouse only to show his critics wrong. His death and the peculiar circumstances of his last days aroused more general concerns about the hidden pressures he experienced off-screen. As an Oscar-winning actor, he undoubtedly overcame several health scares, including an angioplasty in 1990, a bike accident in 2012, and the inevitable aging process. Despite this, he appeared to be committed to maintaining his youthful appearance in retirement, according to both fans and colleagues. Hackman's life was known to be stabilized by Betsy Irawa, who supported him in developing healthy routines and creative outlets like painting, historical fiction writing, or just taking in the peace and quiet of rural New Mexico. As the investigation proceeded, the Hackman mansion in Santa Fe stood abandoned, sealed off with police tape. Eager news outlets circled for updates, but official statements were measured. The couple exuded a sense of quiet contentment, making the idea of simultaneous tragedy all the more astounding if they were dealing with undisclosed illnesses. Few in their inner circle were aware that there were no widely reported hospital visits or crises in the months before they were found, suggesting that any underlying problem might have manifested rapidly. It could take weeks or months for the autopsy and toxicology testing to be finished, thus it would take a long time before the public found out if the pair died of medical emergency, prescription errors, or other unreported causes. Without a clear explanation, the family was left to organize memorial services in the interim. Celebrities in Hollywood voiced their sadness that G. Hackman, who had performed some of the best roles in the business, would not be given a straightforward send-off like many others before him, but rather that he and Betsy would become the focus of a sinister mystery. Social media tributes grew as fans shared pictures of their favorite scenes and personal accounts of how Hackman's roles influenced their passion for movies. No one wanted the memory of Gene Hackman to be overshadowed by obscene speculation, so some supporters and family members hoped that answers after the autopsies were finished would put an end to the circulating rumors about whether the couple passed away from an unfortunate combination of age and medical factors or whether there was a hidden dimension to their final hours. At the very least, they sought a respectful resolution. A dignified funeral or burial service that would highlight the couple's legacy of love rather than the peculiar circumstances of their passing.